backroads of America, and live from the G&D Show studio, this is your Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show.
Doesn't that sound exciting to you?
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, listeners around the world, to the one, the only, mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show. Demon Hunter!
Yes, sir, that is me. I can hear you. You can hear me. Everything's right with the world.
Must be Sunday night. Smells like Sunday night. That's because it is. The only night for the mystifying Oracle of Radio right here at ghostanddemon.com. Special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Action Audio Apps. Hey, are you listening? Check them out. ActionAudioApps.com. Paranormal A in Canada. All our Canadian buddies.
Hey.
Thanks, guys, for being so cool. Everybody, welcome to the studio.
Hey, do you remember with Paranormal A when Terry first got in contact with us and years ago when we were still so young in this business and said, you know, I really enjoy your show. I want to do something like that.
I do.
We said, do it, man. Just go out and do it. And he sent us his first clip, and we were like, this is great. You know, we're so proud of you for creating Paranormal A.
We did. We don't speak Canadian, you know.
We're like, what is Paranormal anyway?
Right. And, of course, a couple weeks ago, we had a big star on, one of our favorites.
Yes, sir.
William B. Davis from the X-Files, the Smoking Man. He comes on the show.
Yeah, he was my hero growing up. Then to find out he didn't smoke, it just dashed all my hopes and dreams of being a secret agent in charge of who lives and who dies, and I stopped smoking.
Did something for your impression of the man.
Yeah.
What'd you say? You told him, you said, William, on the X-Files, you were known as the Marlboro Man. He goes, huh? The Marlboro Man? He said, I smoked Marley cigarettes, which, of course, don't exist.
But, you know, I think
he was great.
I've got to go back and watch an episode because I think at some point they must have called him the Marley Man.
Maybe the
And that's where Marlboro Man stuck in my head.
I don't know. Remember, guys, go back in the archives at ghostanddemon.com. Left side of the screen says archives. Click on that little sucker, and it'll bring up the past 9 years archives, or at least the last 8. So,
I think it's the first or second button you can click on.
Yeah. Last week, of course, we had the legendary, iconic Crypt Keeper, actor John Kassir on. Amazing guest. If you guys missed that, check it out. Wasn't that great, Demon Hunter? John.
That was incredible.
He is such a good guy. I couldn't believe how interesting he is.
And he took all that time out of his night and just helped us out and came on the show. And I think we disturbed his dinner or something like that.
He didn't care. He gave a good write-up on his Facebook page. Thanks, John. Giving a shout-out to the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Said it was a blast. Had fun with Ghostman. Who doesn't have fun with us, man?
I have fun with myself every day.
Yes, me too. Anyway, Shadow Nation, listeners around the world, thanks for joining us tonight. It's going to be a great show. And with that said, Demon Hunter, Shadow Nation, tonight's guest. Tonight's guest, he's a political activist and leading advocate for ending the 68-year government-imposed truth embargo regarding an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. Also, the executive director of the Paradigm Research Group, which produced the citizens' hearing on disclosure at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. He also is the winner of the Research of the Year at the International UFO Conference. Shadow Nation, are we ready for the truth? Mr. Stephen Bassett stops by tonight, leading the way to full disclosure for the American public. Does our government know about the extraterrestrial presence that it's engaging the human race? And if so, are you prepared to know it? The truth comes out tonight, right here on your Mystifying Oracle Radio with Mr. Stephen Bassett.
Woohoo!
Studio. Absolutely. Mr. Stephen Bassett. Hey, big guy, Mr. Bassett, coming on the show, and we thank so much for him taking the time to come on here. But the guy's all over the place, man. him
all over the place.
Yeah,
does he have a teleporter? I want a teleporter.
He might have a teleporter, but we've had some amazing people from the ufology community come on. The general alien UFO researchers that have came on across the world. And, I found out that, it's no joke. A lot of these people, Demon Hunter, and you know this as well as I do, are disappearing.
Disappearing?
Big problem for people. You know what I mean? Big problem. And
next thing you're going to blame it on the Illuminati.
Well, it's that's one world order. The Bilderbergers, of course, Rockefellers. A lot of people have discussed that, and we'll get into that tonight. Absolutely. But, we had author Ryan Burns come on a while back. Big topic here on the show for years has been Skinwalker Ranch, of course, Bigelow Aerospace. The guy's got his hands in so many pies out there. We'll talk about that tonight. I'm anxious to see what Steven has to say about all these things, man. Mm-hmm. Aren't you? We've always been interested in the government cover-ups, and we've even had some things happen here, guys, on the show. And we're not conspiracy theorists. We're open to anything. But, Nathan?
We've had people show up at our homes and jobs.
We have. Tell the story about what happened the week we had Ryan Burns, author of Skinwalker and Beyond. He's an avid researcher of the Skinwalker Ranch. He lives close, and of course, you guys don't know, that's a, I don't know, what was it, a 100-acre ranch that the Native American says is cursed property. They see the Skinwalkers, of course, werewolf-type things out there, strange lights, UFOs, and Bigelow Aerospace currently owns it and has for a while, and it's, there's nothing out there, but there's men in black walking around. What happened, Nathan?
Well, I think the Mysterioso started that morning when actually it was the day before the interview.
Okay.
When I was at my lodge.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Mason. Not a secret world order, really. No, we don't rule the world. I just work for those people. And so I'm at the lodge.
Yeah.
Not even supposed to be at the lodge.
Right.
Just there working on some stuff. And some people start walking up the road and stop and start walking around my car. It's a family, a man, a woman, and a child.
Classic.
And
Americana.
They walk up, and after they've walked around my car, they walk up and they ask to see the lodge.
Right.
And we're supposed to welcome people to the lodge, so I welcome them in, and we start walking through the lodge, and I ask, "Where are you from?" And they say, "We're just out from Utah on some business."
Yeah, I'm not making light of it, guys. This happened.
I was just like, "Oh,
well, I am.
Okay." And of course, I'm there with somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, I love Utah, blah blah blah, this and that," and they're showing around the lodge, and I'm just like, "I gotta get out of here."
Right.
So I leave, and I go home.
Yeah.
And I get home, and Sean, you've been to my house.
I have.
I'm in the woods.
You are.
Nobody comes to my house. And I go inside.
And Danbury's in the woods. Correct.
Yeah.
Connecticut.
The haunted woods of Danbury.
This is true.
And I'm just sitting there in my house, prepping for the show that evening.
Right.
When I hear at the front door. Doggy. And I walk over and I look out, and there's a big black car sitting in the front of the house.
Right.
And somebody at my front door. I can't see them, but there's somebody at my front door. And I'm sitting there thinking, do I open the door?
No.
So I'm watching from a window, and finally, I walk around and I walk towards the steps because I'm thinking I should at least find out who this is.
Right, yeah.
And I walk down the steps, and I get down to the bottom of the steps, and they're not at the door anymore.
Okay.
But now I can't see who's in the car. Okay. And I was just like, okay. So I'm just about to go over and open the door.
Now, wait, you're adding to this story. This story wasn't quite, but the anticipation, I like it, brother.
I like it. Well, the anticipation is the fact that we're far enough away from what happened now. I can tell more.
This is true. If you go silent, we end the show real quick.
Yes.
Exit stage left.
And so I'm just about to go over and open the door, and the car drives away.
Oh, wow. What kind of car? Was it a black car?
It was a black car.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't a particularly new car.
Right.
So I don't know. At first, I was like, okay. But the only people who ever come up to my house are people I know or people trying to convert me to the Church of Latter-day Saints.
You answer the door naked, do you?
Yeah.
Hi!
Well, actually, I have to amend to that story.
Have you found Jesus? Yeah.
I have to amend to that story. The car was parked kind of... You've seen my house, so you know, Sean.
I have.
There's a garage around the back.
Yeah.
So I could only see part of the car.
Okay.
So, I mean, when it pulled away, it drove back out. There's a back road that leaves from my house. So... Originally, I did not think there was even a car.
Yeah.
So I just thought, oh, there's somebody knocking at my door that doesn't have a car.
I hear you knocking. Yeah.
What are they doing here? But, I did see the back of the black car. It was probably late 90s, early 2000s, a black car. I don't know if it was a Lincoln or a Buick kind of thing.
Definitely a four-door black car. Tinted windows or...
I didn't see the windows.
Okay.
They was parked behind the garage, so... Well,
see, that's, think about it. And that was, 3 days before Ryan came on the show?
That was the day of the show.
Yeah.
The people showing up the lodge was the day before.
Right. Now, guys, you think this stuff, we make this up. We've been on the air 9 years. And out of these 9 years, I cannot tell you about the countless number of ufologists we've had on. Stanton Friedman, Dr. Lynn Kitai. Just amazing researchers in the field. The UFO, what was it? The Russian alien researcher. The Texas Russian.
The Texas Russian who researched ghosts and aliens. And we were having a wonderful conversation with him until we asked him if the KGB really still existed. And our line got disconnected from Russia.
And you guys can listen to that in the archives, too. We've had numerous things happen like that, and we laugh it off. But not only that, guys, we've had, controversial talking about these haunted or cursed artifacts on the show. Recently, last year, we had a huge meltdown on the sound system. I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? But these men in black
cost us $2,000 a piece to go out and replace our computers.
Yeah, that was a bummer. It sure did. But thousands of believers, Demon Hunter, they're to gather for the world's largest UFO convention. Since you're bringing this up, did you hear about this?
I brought this up.
No, since you brought up the Men in Black. I guess I brought it up, didn't I?
Well, I believe that thousands of people would get together for that, sure.
I don't know. Says thousands, I think this is already over with. It was actually on the 19th, but it was thousands of UFO enthusiasts gathered on American Indian land in Arizona this week, but not in hopes of mass abduction. Wink, wink. Believers, skeptics, scientists, and media personalities.
They gathered to buy inexpensive cigarettes.
Yeah, because you can buy that Native American treaties and what. Science and media personalities come together each year for the International UFO Congress. That's what it says. Congress, Convention, and Film Festival, the largest of its kind, according to the event's organizers. The convention kicks off Wednesday morning. We missed it.
Oh, we miss everything.
We do miss. We didn't get an invite. At the Weekapaw Resort and Convention Center in Yawpaw Nation.
Sure, I'll buy that for $1.
Sorry, Yawpaw. Little RoboCop humor there. Located in the Scottsdale area, this year marks the 24th annual incarnation of this particular convention. It runs until Sunday afternoon. Dang it! It's going on right now. Well, it might be.
It just ended this afternoon.
Yeah. Each morning of the event, it talked about licensed therapists. They host their so-called experiencer sessions, wherein people who claim they've spotted UFOs and had direct contact. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
They have regression therapy sessions.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm not saying anything. We are open.
Well, we have had regression therapists on the show who dislike the typical way regression therapy is handled.
Right. There's some big cats that we have upcoming on the show that were there, actually. Mr. Bob Lazar, and he worked for one of the government agencies building some things and kind of was a whistleblower on the alien technology that we've seen. This guy, astrophysicist, I mean, he's nuts. Not nuts. I mean, he's very credible, in my opinion, very educated, and he's came forward and said that he's seen...
You have to understand, when Sean uses the word nuts,
Yes.
he means crazy intelligent.
Covers everybody. Other speakers will discuss topics such as 200-year history of UFOs allegedly being seen in the skies over New York State. It's out by you, Nate.
Yeah, right next door.
Another speaker is going to highlight the number of reported UFO crashes that have happened on the United States and the Mexican border. Well, I hope you guys had fun. Thanks for no invite. We appreciate that.
But see, twice in my life, I have seen a UFO.
Okay.
And that still does not convince me that there are aliens.
No.
Once I saw an aircraft or something, too, in fact,
Okay.
just sitting in the sky between two stars and the Big Dipper.
Yeah.
That then did spectacular acrobats around each other at high speed, at right angles, and then took off in separate directions faster than anything should have been able to move.
Okay.
Another time I saw a giant green light just shoot like in the sky over my mother's and my car.
Yeah.
That one was reported by dozens, if not hundreds of people in the Sussex County area growing up in New Jersey.
It went over top of you and your mom's car.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
And I have had other people involved who had experiences where they feel they may have been either interacted or abducted by aliens. But to me, I see the evidence that there's something out there. I have not seen evidence that this is not stuff that's just being kept secret from us by the government.
Right.
So, I mean, until the government or somebody comes out with proof, I've just got to go with saying I'm too skeptical, Sean. You go on hunts with me. I'm super skeptical.
Right. Well, you are. You're very skeptical. We both try to be as best we could. We've found some hoaxes before, or what we think were hoaxes. Definitely found some. The video where you
catch somebody throwing stuff to try and...
Yeah, you guys can check that out on our YouTube page, too. But remember that? The lady had called us out. She had said that she had a haunted business, guys. And, we took it serious or whatever, and we go out and we want to experience these things where we can report back to them for you guys. And it was in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we went out there. And this lady, we get there, and it's like an old, I think it was... a tow truck service or something like that, and they were...
I thought it was a school bus service.
Yeah, maybe it was. Something like that. School bus, it's some kind of maintenance operation. They had a little garage and attached to an office where you would sit down and, do your thing. Invoices or whatnot on the computer. But anyway, she had called us out, and when I first got there, her father was there packing up stuff because they were moving, which made the story even more interesting because she had... credited the haunting to to them relocating. So, I'm going out there and I'm like, okay, this is cool. We've seen this or heard this kind of stuff before. So I set up all the equipment at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And I'm out there. There's 3 other guys with us. And all of a sudden, there's nothing going on. We're sitting there. And this lady comes in with her daughter, and she goes, "Hi, I'm Cindy Lou," or whatever her name was, and this is what's been going on. And she acts extremely discombobulated. She's scared. She's confused. Her life's been changed by this. I wasn't buying it right off. She just something about her. And I remember she had a big pack of cigarettes in her front pocket of her flannel, which there's no problem with that. But she looked like she needed one because she was extremely nervous. And that's because, as we would eventually find out, she freaking lied. So, she came in, guys, and she put her back to the opening where the garage was. And one of the reports was nuts and bolts fly off shelves and break windows on their school buses and stuff that they're doing repairs on. And we caught her, man. We happened to set the video down while she was talking. And she put her hand behind her back, one of them, and she had a cigarette in the other one. And we heard it, sure enough, bunk, bunk, bunk. A bolt goes flying across the warehouse, and we go out there. Sure enough, there's a handful of bolts laying on the hood of a bus. We get back, we check the video, and you see her hand go flipping back there. So these people do this kind of thing, man.
Oh yeah, it's funny though, Sean. Somebody asked me the other day if I still go on ghost hunts.
Yeah.
And I said, well, one, I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm a researcher. I study why people believe in ghosts, not necessarily if there's a ghost there, but
right.
I still enjoy a good ghost hunt. However, I can't really go on them right now because I'm snowed into my house.
Yes. Yeah, that's another big story. How's it going out there?
I don't even know where to start, Sean.
Yeah, a lot of our East Coast friends are getting it right now. They've been getting it.
And, of course, yesterday, everybody was calling me yesterday, and they're all complaining. My brother's complaining about how cold it is down in South Carolina.
Sure.
It was 50 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, they get their parkas on when it gets
yeah. And I'm like, it's 5 here, so... Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah. One of my friends in Florida upset that she has to wear closed-toed shoes.
Closed-toed.
I'm like, I have to wear a face mask when I leave the house.
Yeah, anyway, last week, the UFO community is going crazy last 2 weeks, and we were one of the first to break the story that I know of on the show, and we didn't laugh it off, but you, sir, brought up...
I believe it's a ploy.
The John Podesta. Oh, that's funny. Obama aide John Podesta says biggest failure was not securing the disclosure of the UFO files. Now, you believe it was
I don't believe that it's necessarily a lie that there are UFO files, but I believe it's a ploy on behalf of John Podesta to try and get people interested because everybody wants to know a secret, and I think that no matter what happens, those files aren't going to be opened, even if he winds up in a cabinet in the following office.
Yeah, well, I mean, anybody that's in if you think he won't use that as a political, thing to have on his side, an angle to play, I mean, you'd be crazy. He wants to remain in office for he could do this. But, it doesn't take credit away from the guy. He's always spoke out openly on the matter, and he's requested these things to come forward, and he's actually achieved some of the stuff. Records from FAA, stuff like that. I was reading a story before the show, and he actually pulled some records from an air base, had them brought forward. There was a downed, what people believe they described as a saucer, the eyewitnesses, of course. And I'm not saying, of course, to make little of it, but you hear that so much. And the military, of course, at the time said it was a down test flight thing. But there was like 6 trucks came in, pulled this thing out on the flatbed, which makes me think, why would they pull it out without covering it up, with a tarp or something? But apparently, right there in full eye view, the witnesses seen it with these, carvings, weird symbols on the side of this craft. And I guess Podesta got really involved in it, and he pulled the records. Well, these records weren't there. They had so many records, but they had nothing to date that date. What happened? The events that day. So there's lots of little things you gotta think about, man, and say, are you serious? This is the government. But then again, Donald Rumsfeld can't account for $2.3 trillion. In spending money, but hey, he's a credible source, right?
That's right.
Anyway, John Podesta, guys, what we're talking about, if you don't know, is the outgoing Obama counselor. He remains a devoted fan to everything extraterrestrial. Podesta put out a tweet. He was President Bill Clinton's chief of staff, returned to the White House duty in late 2013. He wrote that his arrival meant the Obama Presidential Library will be inundated, just as the Clinton Library in Little Rock has been with Freedom of Information Act requests, such as this one. For emails to and from John Podesta containing the words either X-Files or Area 51, Podesta was a major fan of the X-Files television show. Our colleague Karen Tumulty.
Well, you think if we tell him we had the Smoking Man on our show, he'll come on?
He might. Might get Podesta on. I don't know. We've never had a White House personnel on.
No, we haven't.
Maybe we could get the chef.
I don't know. Those chefs are pretty elite.
Yeah. But anyway, John Podesta, he, tweeted something simply that his biggest failure was not securing the disclosure of the UFO files while he was in office with Obama. So, the alien community, the ufology community has gone nuts, as they should. I mean, they don't get a lot of recognition. Here you have somebody on Capitol Hill that's coming forward and saying, hey, there might be something to this. But, it's neither here nor there.
No, it's in Uranus.
This is true. But, it's, I think there is something to this whole UFO thing. And we've researched it for years, and you know better than to brush anything off.
Oh, no. And that's the fun part of the first half of the show, Sean, is we can make fun of everything because during the second half of the show, we don't.
That's true. That's true. Blink-182 co-founder came out this week, Tom DeLonge. It says he goes deep in the UFO government cover-ups and why aliens are bigger than Jesus, is what he was saying. So
yeah, that worked well for the Beatles, too.
What, did they see aliens? I don't know. Did they see aliens?
No, they said they were bigger than Jesus.
Yeah. Anyway, did you hear about the cat that came out? There was a news article this week about everybody's hearing about ISIS. ISIS is beheading people. The ocean is turning red with blood.
The army is made up of 7-foot giants.
Yeah. What was that? Yeah, they actually brought that up this week. Did you hear anything about that?
I read a short article on it.
Yeah, there was a short article that talked about the 7-foot giants. Fox News reported on it, actually. So it has to be credible.
It must be.
No, that's what people say. Fox News is the most reliable, and they're not, into the whole government thing. They're revealing the secrets and all this stuff.
Everybody's into something, Sean.
ISIS you have to be if you want to go out on the air. Well, not like us, guys. We're pirate air radio. We do our own thing, and until we get, fully syndicated, we won't have to sell out totally. So
yes, we won't have to sell out until somebody buys us.
Yeah, absolutely. Fox News anyway reported ISIS is an army of 7-foot tall giants? ? And it's got a picture of them marching these guys.
And have we confirmed that those people walking alongside of them are not children?
No, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they have facial hair, but of course over there, I don't know. They could be 17.
It is the middle. It is like the Mediterranean.
Well, they've been killing children as well. These guys are crazy. The question is, is this a ploy to drag us back into another war when we're over in Germany right now demonstrating our strength for our European friends and power over there? And Putin's clearly said, when asked, what do you think about Obama being angry with you and your decisions, he said, I don't think about Obama. Putin's not afraid. And you're not going to afraid him. And that's World War III. And we're concentrating on ISIS because, I think a lot of, and we should be angry. I mean, outraged if this stuff is happening, in fact. But I don't know, brother, because, you have these 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 idiots running around killing innocent people in the name of the Quran or whatever the heck it is. And
that's a horrible thing to say.
What's that?
Whatever the heck it is.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't. The Quran.
There you go.
There you go. But I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible and stuff, and that's not taking away from the Quran. So I don't feel it was a horrible thing to say. But when they justify it as a right to kill people by using the Quran, whatever.
Well, what you've got to realize too is these are groups. And these groups don't just go out and kill Christians. They'll go out and kill their own people if they don't follow their particular following of the Quran.
Sure will. And
that's what's insane.
Yeah, when you called me out by saying whatever on the Quran, I respect a person's right to religion. I'm not putting down the Quran.
I wasn't calling you out. I apologize for that, brother.
No, that's no problem. But I want to make people clearer. I know how we interact, but if people think I was putting down the religion of the Quran, I'm not, guys. But the way these people are using it, even if it was the Bible itself, whatever. So I'm calling what they're doing whatever because it's totally stupid. But anyway, they're killing these people, and this dude said they brought in it says the Islamic State's manipulation of their high production videos have become commonplace, said Varian Khan, editorial director of the Florida-based Terrorism Research and Analyst Consortium. The murders likely took place in the studio, and the background image shown was likely from another location. The Bay in Sirte, a part of the Mediterranean Sea on the northern coast of Libya. According to the Khan, there are several technical mistakes in the video they found, Nathan.
Really?
They are, and this came out, and they're having these film people look at this. People that had worked on credible movies, Pet Sematary, that's went over and edited the videos. They do this profession, and they said this is green screen technology. They seen even what they believe to be, I forget what they call it, footprinting, where you copy one image and you make more than, and they're not saying that this isn't happening, but maybe for the first time, a terrorist group, or whatever you want to call these people, I'm calling them the whatevers. I don't even want to give them any, I don't want to give them any credit at all. And, whatever these things are, because they're sure not human, that are killing these people supposedly, allegedly, if they're not, if it is in fact faked, and they're not killing these people, but if they are killing these poor people, they could be doing it in a studio and covering up the background.
So what you're saying
for
is
people don't know where they're
seeing Iron Man 3 played out in real life.
Well, that's true. But the thing, in a way, but they might be for the first time in anything like this in history, they might be using Film Edit, Adobe or Sony Vega to edit, and I'm not making light of it, but they might be editing out their location. Think about it, because we're going to go in and we're going to just rip them up with bombs and everything else, and they know this. Everybody knows how to do, in the age of technology, knows how to do, video editing. A lot of people, basic video editing, and they could have got somebody and said, hey, you need to hide our location, or we're going to kill one guy, and we want you to make it look like 20.
Yeah.
So this could happen. And, it kind of goes back to what Abraham Lincoln said, where he said, as a nation of free men, we'll either live forever or die by suicide. And not just the nation. I'll cover the world with that. By our high-tech society, and I'm not saying, it's bad, but by all this technology, maybe people are going to start, well, they've already started using it. Look at the anonymous groups. Anonymous?
Yeah. That's another thing where I've been listening to the news, and when you hear all this stuff coming out about anonymous, and then phenomena,
It's a Muppet Show reference.
Not that I don't take it seriously.
Well,
but you see all this stuff coming out, and then you see the possibility that the U.S. was working alongside with them.
Yeah.
And then you immediately get a note from the government saying the U.S. had absolutely no connection with the anonymous group.
Right.
It makes you wonder even more, because it's like playing poker.
Yeah.
Somebody shows their hand when they're bluffing.
Right.
I don't know. I was not impressed this week by our government.
Yeah. Well, and I know we don't get into politics, but I think, we should start talking about, things like this, these idiot groups that hide behind holy books like the Bible or the Quran, and they want to go out here and they think they're doing God's work. And that's ignorant. They're doing that to recruit people. They know darn well, and I haven't read the Quran, and I know they said Muhammad the prophet is a vengeful whatever. Well, in the book that I was raised with and everything, with Jesus or God was a vengeful God. He burnt down, the place with Sodom and Gomorrah. With there was homosexuals, and there was women of the night, and there was all kinds of sin going on, and he didn't have any tolerance for that. So some people forget. I see what Obama was saying, even though I don't agree with him, about hey, let's not get on our high horse here, but we will. Obama, we will get on our high horse, because at least we have our idiots like everybody else, but at least the Christian faith isn't going around now in 2016 beheading people in the name of God. You know what I'm saying, man? Come on. At least we're not in the Stone Age. Yes, there might have been something happen in the background. That's stupid. That's like saying an American person takes black slaves nowadays, and then they say, well, let's not get on our high horse now, getting on this guy that's slave owner, because remember, we used to do it back in the 1800s. It's stupid. You know what I mean, man?
Well, it's interesting, too, because we're looking now at a twist in faith and the writings of the Quran, very much like in the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages, twisted faith was placed on Christianity because the Quran is full of statements of peace.
Right.
And the Muslims I know will turn to me and say, they're not reading my book.
Right.
Because, I was taught peace.
Right.
And, that's the issue that we face when we face people who take a word of God and turn it to their own agenda.
Sure, absolutely. But, it's a crazy world. There's things going on everywhere. People are saying it's the old sleight of hand magic trick. Like with everything. We're talking about aliens tonight. This is a type of show where we don't go into politics usually, guys, and I apologize for that. But it's current events. It's something happening in the world, and you're going to get your news if you're listening here from us like anybody else. And I just think it's an outrage. It's stupid. And I think there's always something going on. Somebody said truth is never what you see or hear. There's always something. There might be a little bit of truth to what you see or hear, I think, but there's much more truth than the things you don't see or hear going on.
Well, the thing is, when all you see or hear is what you get off the television or read in the paper, you're only going to see and hear what people want you to see and hear.
Sure. Neil Armstrong, when he was, of course, this was totally unrelated in the class he was discussing it with, but he said, there's so much more we can do out there and so much more we can understand if we can remove one of truth's protective layers. I love that quote, man. And of course, people have related that back to the whole UFO cover-up and stuff, But that's true. If you can remove, they hold so much stuff back from the American public, and I want disclosure on UFOs. I want disclosure on a lot of things, but you have to ask yourself, with all the nuts we have all over the world, I'm not going to say America, all over the world, can we handle, if there are alien nations hovering above us on this, limited treaty or whatever, if they're out in the cosmos watching us, and, we've talked about it before, how many superior races have you ever seen play along nicely with others that aren't as powerful? I mean, how many times do you see that through history? But if there are those, can we handle it? Not all of us can. There's no way. There's no way. Some of us will be like, oh, man, what a relief. That's awesome. We can start learning more in technology, and look where we're going to go. And some are going to go, it's Satan. This is the end times. How long do you think it'd take for the first radical Christian or Muslim or anybody jump up, or whatever, Satanist or whatever radical group you're with, jump up on the top of a car and say the end's here,
They're doing it right now just from hearing us say it.
Yeah, they're like, Ghostman and Demon Hunters talked about it, the end is here. Yeah, so I don't know, man, but I don't know. You got to ask yourself, a lot of us can handle the truth, but as a global thing, can we handle the truth?
See, you like to quote Neil Armstrong.
Many people.
Where I want to quote K from Men in Black, the movie.
Just
a
as
person
credible.
is smart. People are dumb, ignorant, overreactive. I'm paraphrasing now.
Are you paraphrasing?
And they will panic.
We're going to get sued.
And they will go on and create the end times on their own if you give them the chance. So
you're right, brother.
it's, is a person in general ready to find out the truth?
I don't know.
Sure. Are there groups that are ready to find out the truth? Sure. As a nation, as a world?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you'll see a lot of gun stores being bought out if the truth comes out that there are aliens hiding right above you.
I think so, and I don't think that's any excuse to, conceal the truth. Let people know. They need to know. We'll weed the idiots out as we go. Demon Hunter, how about a little segment called In the News?
In the News.
That's it. Waiting for the scene to change, guys. Hey, it's always fresh. It's always exciting. It's strange. It's weird. And it's straight from the G&D Show vault. And it starts right
now.
Ooh. Today's strange news, G&D style. Nathan, take it away.
Oh, gee, thanks. I'm trying to load it right now. You didn't give me any warning.
You gotta give the disclaimer for people.
Oh, the disclaimer. That's right, folks. Because G&D in the news is weird news. News we pull right out of the papers because we like the titles.
Ooh.
Doesn't mean that it's good news. In fact, halfway through the stories, half the time we stop and go, forget it. But it does mean we like the titles and want to read that news to you.
Yeah.
It just so happens, though, we didn't read the stories in advance, so we make a lot of mistakes. And every time we make a mistake, you take a drink. That's the G&D drinking game. We do ask that if you're listening to us while driving in your car or plan to do anything important tonight, like ask your girlfriend to marry you or just apply for a job, don't play the G&D drinking game. It could ruin your life. Yeah. So please listen responsibly.
Now, for you new listeners, the Shadow Nation, the newcomers to the Shadow Nation, I'll give you 2 seconds to run out and get your favorite beverage with alcohol in it. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? 2, 1. In the news, special thanks to our friends over at Disclose TV, Demon Hunter. Something has landed in Canada, and military has it surrounded. Heard about this?
I have not heard about that.
February 22nd, Demon Hunter 2015, Shadow Nation, in response to reports this week of mysterious lights over Jackhead Reservation in Manitoba, Canada, a possible UFO crash into Lake Winnipeg, and military forces on snowmobiles pulling a large disc out of the lake. A spokesperson for Canadian Forces said it was just a military training exercise. Really? Let look at the facts, but I imagine they mean let's look at the facts. So here we go. We're going to look at the facts. On the night of Wednesday, February 18th, reports began appearing on social media of lights over Lake Winnipeg. These were followed by Facebook posts, I can imagine, by Brent Mancheese. UFO crash reported on the Jackhead Reserve in Manitoba, Canada. Apparently, the Canadian military had vehicles lined up on the North Shore. They are threatening anybody who tries to take pics. Lots of eyewitnesses. Thursday is round object being hauled across the lake being pulled by snowmobiles.
And Ghostman and Demon Hunter showmobiles.
Drink up, guys. You're not calling my drinks there. I messed up. I said show.
I was drinking.
Drink, guys. Mobiles and Bombardier. Something was seen going down by 8 fishermen. They reported it. Why would they not let the media know if it was a plane crash? Huh? Trucks and police vehicles arriving at the site of the crash. They show a big scene of all the vehicles. I mean, there's several of them, which if it was a military crash or something, you would think there would be emergency vehicles. Another report had some bad news about one witness with a camera. Apparently, a disc-shaped craft was seen crashing through the ice on the lake. At least one person got photographic evidence, but has since been detained by the Canadian military.
Well, he was an illegal alien, obviously.
His name was Paul. I don't know. The Canadian military. According to Lieutenant Colonel Paul Davies, commanding officer of the 38th Territorial Battalion Group, about 150 military personnel were at the frozen lake taking part in an exercise Arctic Bison 2015, a training program for dealing with emergencies in harsh environments. Emergencies like a UFO crash. Question mark?
Indeed.
Not so, says Davies. There's no aliens, just my friends in the Air Force who are out there helping us on this exercise. That was not a UFO, says Davies.
Did he identify it? What it was?
So what was it, you might ask? Davies said it was an airplane with quick takeoff capabilities. From a distance, it may have looked like it was going straight up in the air, but it wasn't. An airplane taking off from a frozen lake. What about the crash? What about the disc? Question marks on all 3 of those questions, guys. What about the photographic evidence? Question mark. What about the witnesses? Question mark. What really happened at Lake Winnipeg this week? Huh? Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. From this
thank you. Hey, Sean, you know how we were just talking about how people will go crazy over just about anything?
Yeah.
People will take any book and turn it into their faith-based belief system, and they will run right towards it.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't matter what that book is, which you can see by the fact that 50 Shades of Grey crazed teens stormed a theater by the hundreds.
No!
A Florida mall changed its policies after hundreds of teenagers stormed the movie theater because they wanted to see 50 Shades of Grey.
Uh-oh.
Though estimates of the mob vary in size, it may have contained, have a drink, folks, as many as 900 youths attempting to swarm the mall in Orange County, deputies told Click Orlando.
Yeah. Well, it's like Dad's nudie book collection in the closet. How are you going to stay away from that? He says don't go in there, and you know they're in there.
And then you have to.
Yeah.
Around 200 of them merged to get into the theater. Managed. Have a drink, folks. Deputies said.
Yeah.
They managed to get in the theater. Why didn't they stop the movie?
I don't know. Yeah. Why didn't they stop it and clear the theater out?
The stampede was an attempt to circumvent the policy that did not allow minors under 17 to see rated R flicks without an adult accompanying them.
Oh my goodness.
According to West Orange Times.
Okay.
The West Oaks Mall announced on Monday that from now on, anyone under the age of 17 must be accompanied by an adult if they are on the mall property after 9 p.m.
You said poppity. Drink, guys.
Poppity.
Property.
I'm going to get a bell.
You got to have a bell.
Got to have a bell. We need more cowbell.
Hey, I should have got you one. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome, Shadow Nation. His Demon Hunter's birthday was Saturday.
That's right. Just yesterday, I went out for Japanese food. Sean watched the video and said, I have to have Japanese food too, and he went.
It's like we're connected after 9 years.
I know.
An old married couple.
Although there were reports of gunfire, those reports turned out to be incorrect. Mm-hmm. And Okawi, I think I'm saying that right,
just
police spokesman, have a drink anyway, told WESH.
Okay.
The gunshot sounded like it was actually created by firecrackers in the parking lot, police now say. They weren't smashing windows, they weren't crashing or stealing anything. They were just saying, hey, I can get in to see a free movie.
Okay.
Nevertheless, the chaotic scene caused multiple people to call 911. I think they've locked the doors. One caller said, we can't figure out a way out. It's typed very weirdly, Sean. Give me a break here. They can have a drink, but it says, I can't, we can't figure a way out. Police also said that they arrested one minor on the charge of battery and resisting, have a drink, arrest. And another on drug charges.
Stupid kids. Dumb kids.
Dumb kids.
Demon
At least go see a decent movie.
Hey, do you have any special news you want to get out there? Because we're at 7:51 and we have two more segments to get through. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I just like to point out that let's just read some titles, folks, so that we can see what stories we were looking at here. Like mysterious cloud spotted on Mars.
Yes.
There's way too many scientific words in this one for us to try and get through it without people drinking themselves half to death here, Sean. So we'll get back to that one.
Like Neptune.
Neptune?
Jupiter?
I've heard of that place. Kayakers shocked by surprise passenger.
Yeah.
While a lot of you're gonna have to drink right off the bat there, folks. While a lot of the country was battling snow on Valentine's Day, Santa Barbara was just a sunny day. One family decided to take an adventure for a nice winter weather kayak trip. Yeah. In the Santa Barbara. Have a drink, Barbara Harbor. Just take the bottle, folks, and don't blame us. Yes. Barbara Harbor, and received a unique Valentine's prize. Okay. Rodney Grist was in the kayak with his 10-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son while his 8-year-old daughter rode another kayak with special guest jumped on board, according to KABC. The Grist family was surprised when they were joined by a local, single-looking a local single, "Looking for Love." It was a young sea lion.
Oh.
Oh.
How did that not flip
the Rodney's kayak added a fourth passenger. When they saw the lion hop on boat and hitch a ride, the family was unsure how to feel about the pup. It was really sweet, but it is a wild animal.
They bite.
They eventually hopped off and joined its lion friend.
Bites your head off, man.
So, they're not happy-go-lucky animals like they show on the cartoons.
That was a very good news story, my friend.
I just thought it was kind of cute. We got some cool stories here. We'll just have to go over more of them next week.
Okay, guys, we're going to have to run through these next two segments fast. It's time for...
Waiting for the music.
Oh, yeah. You hear the music, guys. For you guys that are new to the show, it's time for a G&D Show original series where Nathan and myself cover America, if not the world, and each week we try to find you a new legend, haunting, and find out if there's any facts to these mysteries. Tonight's legend is... the Gowro.
I forgot.
I know. I was waiting to see if you remembered. The Gowro, guys, G-O-W-R-O-W. This is a type of monster thing. And it says the Gowro was first reported in Arkansas in 1897. It lives in the lakes and caves of Arkansas and got its name from the horrible sounds it makes.
We like Arkansas.
Yeah, we do. The Gowro was described as a 20-foot-long reptile with enormous tusk that ate livestock. Sounds a lot like Chupacabra, but
it's a big chupacabra.
Yeah, overgrown. One enterprising Arkansan claimed to have captured a Gowro and would let the public see it for a small price of admittance, of course.
Of course.
Yes, don't call the, museum, the Smithsonian, charge people to see it for $5 a person in your backyard. Anyway, but just before the reveal, he announced the Gowro had escaped. Them darn Gowros.
Surprise.
Yeah, them darn Gowros. Anyway, the audience was so busy running in terror that no one asked for their money back. Yeah, that's this week's...
I would ask for my money back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's this week's Legend X, guys. The Gowro. If you're out in Arkansas...
The Gowro.
If you're out in Arkansas, be on the lookout for it. Demon Hunter, you know what time it is.
I love this time.
I do too. Here we go. That's right, guys. You hear the music. It's another Ghostman and Demon Hunter Show original series where each week we cover the show everybody knows and loves, The Walking Dead. And we find out and tell you, we don't find out, we tell you our guesses on what we think's going to happen tonight on that program we all love, The Walking Dead. Demon Hunter, take it away.
Oh, Sean. Yep. Let's just point out to people that we do throw some spoilers out there, so if you're not caught up with the Walking Dead, this is the time to put your hands over your ears and say la la la, because we're going to start talking rot, and it might just ruin your night. So,
Rata! This is true. Anyway, guys, you know a lot of our friends from the show. Tyrese, actor Chad Coleman, Scott Wilson that played Herschel, of course Mikey Rooker, the Rookman came on, and
everybody who comes on our show dies.
Absolutely, everybody that comes on our show ends up dying on the Walking Dead show. So that's why we don't have a new Walking Dead guest for you this week. But last week was a big week, Nathan, and you follow the comic book more than I do, so I'm going to let you start with it.
Well, let's start with the end, Sean.
Yeah.
These folks have been traveling, they're beat, they're tired, they have no water, they're thirsty. What happens? They come across a pile of bottled water in the middle of the road that says it's from a friend.
A special friend, yeah.
A special friend. And they don't drink it. They're too suspicious now, Sean. They've had too many little problems happen, and one of them jumps in and volunteers to drink it first to see if it's poison, but they knock it out of his hands and say, no, we're not going to do that. And they are saved by rain.
Yes, lots of
interesting little thing about that rainstorm on the show, Sean, it actually rained.
Yeah, they said they got lucky. We've seen that on Talking Dead, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a clip that came on afterwards. They said that the skies opened up and it started to rain just as they filmed that scene. So they lucked out. They ran to the safety of a barn where they found one walker.
Okay.
Who had boarded themselves up and died while hiding, and now was a walker, and they took care of that. And now they're in a barn, and they were attacked by another herd.
It's like a tornado, wasn't it? That came.
Yeah, there was a tornado followed by a herd of walkers. I mean, how do you get more unlucky than that?
I don't know, man. They've been through the ringer. If you did notice, man, Tasha, she's kind of going off kilter there now that we've lost Tyrese. We told you guys, spoiler alert. But she was swinging the blade around, and she cut, what's the guy's name, the military guy? The redhead flat top.
Oh, redheaded flat top. That's what I call him.
Yeah, she was sticking these zombies in the head, and she turned around and happened to cut his arm, if you remember. Now that brings up, if you get bit, you get infected. Well, what about a bloody knife that was just pulled out of a corpse's head that was infected, going back into your skin? What do you think?
Well, I think that the infection seems to be carried by the saliva, Sean.
Okay, let's hope so.
I think he's safe.
Let's hope so. Anyway, guys, this week on Rot Talk, or The Walking Dead, I think tonight we run into a new human bad guy. I think it's going to be Negan from the comic books. I've seen the baseball bat references. Glenn himself picked up one. Coincidence? I think not. I think we're going to start running into him. It's been way too long without a human idiot out there to cause damage for the group or problems.
I think the introduction of Aaron at the end, if it follows anything like the comic book, should be interesting because Aaron is not a bad guy, Sean.
I think
the free zone does exist. It's not quite as bad as some of you may be worried about, but there are you do kind of have to conform, and it does lead to the introduction of a character known as Negan, who. If you're a fan of the current Walking Dead cast, could mean bad things.
Demon Hunter, the hour's upon us. Tonight's guest, again, he's a political activist, guys, leading advocate for the 68-year government-imposed truth embargo regarding extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. He's also the executive director of the Paradigm Research Group and winner at the International UFO Conference of Researcher of the Year. He's coming by tonight, Mr. Stephen Bassett, and he's going to tell us, is the truth out there? And if it is the government ready to tell us? Tonight, right here on your D&D show, Demon Hunter, I'm going to be watching the screen to make sure, since we told Mr. Bassett we'd be going through Skype. If we have any Skype problems, you have to use another number, just let me know. We have plenty of music. Tonight's band, Paul Wine Jones, name of the song, If You Love Me, Why You Treat Me Like That. Demon Hunter,
I can't wait.
Shadow Nation, we'll be right back.
Yeah, ready. If you love me like you say, why you treat me like you do? If you love me like you say, why you treat me like you do? Well, I ain't no fool. I'm good, I know the rules. You said you never ride around. Say you never die late. You say you never run around, baby. Said you never stay out late. Let me tell you, pretty woman, I got to say. Say you never run around. Say you never stay out late. Say you never run around. Say you never stay out late. I wanna tell you, woman, if you love me like you say, why you treat me the way you do? If you love me like you say, why you treat me the way you do? And I ain't no fool. I'm fool, I know. Try to go to church, now you're arguing. Try to go to work, now you're arguing. Woman, you better stop arguing. Woman, you better stop arguing. Stop arguing. Go ahead there, love you. Now you're arguing. Come here home. Oh, you now you're arguing. Woman, you better stop arguing. Woman, you better stop arguing. Stop arguing. Go to jail. Try to go to work, Lord, you know you're arguing. So your daddy love you, now you're arguing. Woman, you better stop arguing. Woman, you better stop arguing. Stop arguing.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to the Ghost Man and Demon Hunter Show.
Hey, welcome back, Shadow Nation, to the one, the only mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Tonight's guest, he's a political activist and a leading advocate for ending the 68-year government-imposed truth embargo regarding an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. Also, the executive director of the Paradigm Research Group. He also is the Research of the Year winner at the International UFO Conference. Shadow Nation, listeners around the world, please welcome Mr. Stephen Bassett to the show. Stephen, what's going on, my friend?
I'm in Washington, D.C., trying to not become terminally cynical.
See, that's very hard to do. We were reading the stories before in the headlines, and oh my God. Huh? You got to watch yourself out there, my friend.
It's a treacherous territory, but I've been around it for a while, so I'm hoping to make some progress here.
Well, man, you are amazing, and you're out there doing it for the Patriots of America. And, we've covered a lot of things on this show over the 9 years, and it's amazing to get you on tonight. So thanks so much for your time. But I wanted to ask you right off the bat, everybody knows who you are. How do we go from JFK's "we are as a people inherently and historically opposed to the secret societies" to Katharine Graham's "this is a dangerous and dirty world and there are certain things the public doesn't need to know and shouldn't"? How have we got here?
Well, I think it's pretty well understood now. What can I say? The human race has been working its way towards greater and greater destructive weapons, bigger wars, almost 8,000 years of that. And as of 1947, we were set to take it to the limit. We had finished World War II, which was quite a big affair, and we were now building nuclear weapons and missiles. Certainly by 1950, it was clear that the next war would be a nuclear war and would be unbelievably destructive. And it was under that kind of pressure that the United States, as well as the Soviet Union and all of the major countries, but particularly the United States and the Soviet Union, started building the most vast intelligence complexes ever. They started small, but built quickly. And this huge intelligence complex, which I now call the Secret Empire, grew for the next 68 years under the pressure of two things. One, the Soviet threat, and the other was the extraterrestrial issue. The extraterrestrial issue, of course, was not stated. And so these two huge issues gave the national security structures all the basis they needed to build anything, do anything, create a truth embargo on the ET issue, influence the media, and so forth. And this process evolved over time. Circa Kennedy in 1961, it was 14 years after Roswell, it had gone to a certain point. The president was starting to be neglected. But there was still, I think, hope in the breast of many that the fourth estate would do its job and that I guess you could say, the intelligence world would behave. By 1988, it was clear that wasn't the case, and that's how we transitioned from Kennedy's remarks at that famous speech to Katharine Graham's remarks at the CIA.
I think it's, just to add to that, Stephen, I think it's amazing how in 2013 the citizens' hearing on disclosure comes forth because of your group and because of such world-leading researchers like yourself, Nick Pope, Dr. Stephen Greer, just to name a few, and a huge honorable panel of alien UFO witnesses that had, acquired since 1968. Nothing like this had happened before since 1968, I'm sorry. I think it's funny how the Washington Post always seems to show up in the back of the room with a bad write-up for everything you do, don't you?
We got a lot of coverage for the citizen hearing. PRG has gotten a lot of coverage.
Right.
I mean, hundreds of articles have been written about PRG's advocacy work for the last 18 years. You can go to paradigmresearchgroup.org and
Absolutely.
You can find them pretty easily.
Yeah.
The major newspapers were pretty much forced to be on board the truth embargo back in the 40s and 50s, which was not a hard thing to do. I mean, it wasn't difficult for the government to get their cooperation. And then eventually the truth embargo became institutionalized with the entire media by the end of the Cold War. Since then, things are changing. A lot more coverage, a lot more articles. Without question, the Washington Post has held back and done some of the worst coverage.
Well, yeah.
As the nation's political paper, I think it's far more sensitive to how it could impact the truth embargo, and under the sort of institutionalized understanding that exists, the Post really could not help the truth embargo along, and so it just in other words, it's not that it hasn't covered it. It has written articles. It's even covered me. I mean, I've been in it a number of times.
Right.
But it certainly hasn't covered it in the appropriate to the importance of this paper. But the same can be said for the New York Times, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the Washington Post has written a couple of real stinkers.
Well, I think it's amazing.
And, I haven't given up on it. But the Washington Times, ironically, has given us some great articles. So what can I say?
Yeah, but, you have all these honorable, highly decorated ex-military people, just, not to mention all of them there. And the Washington Post comes out with an article about the cookies and how great they were.
Well, that's the famous cookie story. Yeah, that was John Kelly, who was a Metro writer.
Yeah.
They sent him to cover this press conference put on by Robert Hastings, the researcher and author of UFOs and Nukes, and Captain Robert Salas, one of the very first witnesses to come forward regarding the nuclear tampering incidents, when E.T. craft came down and turned all of our missiles off, which most people would consider to be a fairly significant event. And by 2010, Hastings' book was out, this extraordinary effort where he went and interviewed, I think 200 people associated with nuclear tampering events. Mm-hmm. They had about 5 witnesses there at a press conference, which I attended. And except for Robert, I think they were all Air Force captains. And they testified to these incidents. And there were press there. And I imagine there were a few articles. I think there were a number of articles. In fact, I've got them archived on my website, ParadigmResearchGroup.org. Mm-hmm. And most of them were pretty straight, except the Post. The Post sends Kelly, and Kelly writes this article where he makes a big deal about the cookies that they had put out. Or at least he gets into the cookies and some other stuff. It's just a total joke, and it was astounding. It was a huge embarrassment. This article, of course, they're going to have to live with this forever. And be assured that when the disclosure event does take place, be sure I will remind the Washington Post about this article when they basically made fun of former Air Force captains, SAC base officers.
And will you send them cookies?
Well, they already did. They got a bunch of cookies. I know a number of people that told me they sent them a couple of boxes of cookies with various notes inside. Which didn't get covered, but we might send them some more. Why not?
Cupcakes inside. Cupcakes.
I just have to ask you one thing, Stephen, because conspiracy theories abound. But since I belong to the Fraternal Brotherhood of Masons, I'm constantly being told that as a Mason, I'm helping keep the secrets of the UFOs under wraps. And I would just like someone of your, notoriety to point out that I do not serve an alien, reptilian, overlord that lives subterraneously underneath the ground of America.
I guess I'm going to have to destroy those photos then.
Oh, no.
Don't do it, Stephen.
Look. Because of the truth embargo, the direct interference with this issue, disinformation, and the nature of the truth embargo, so I can honestly say that at least 50%, probably more, of everything that is said about this issue, written about this issue, is false. Not necessarily deliberately false, but false. In the absence of a proper engagement of this issue by the media, by the press, by colleges, universities, and so forth, absent interference of the government, they've created a truth vacuum, which has been filled. I mean, that's what happens. You create a vacuum, nature fills it. And so it's just filled with theories and suppositions, speculations, paranoia, outright hoaxes, fun and games, and so forth, which of course makes it easier for the government to continue to deny what is pretty much obvious now to hundreds of millions of people around the world. And so when I hear things like the high echelon of the Masonic lodges are somehow privy to special UFO knowledge. I don't give it much credence.
Yeah.
I put that in the box of a whole bunch of things that has not been established to my satisfaction. I know for a fact that elements of the United States government are quite aware of the extraterrestrial presence, have been involved in research, re-engineering of crash vehicles, and so forth. Beyond that, I don't have the evidence to make any statements. And there's a lot of theories out there. So it's just the nature of this field. I accept it. It's the way it is.
Right.
It's the hand that was dealt. And I don't blame people that come up with some wild stuff, which may prove yet to be true, or even people that hoax. I blame the government, because the government is the principal problem as to why we don't have the truth of this matter, and we're not being able to engage this issue and utilize that information to possibly advance our condition here.
Yeah. 2011, everybody knows Mr. Phil Larson, head of the White House Space Policy Technology Office of Science, comes out, official statement saying, hey, the U.S. government has no evidence, blah, 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 of life exist outside of our own planet. That there's no credible information or people coming forth, basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, that can, account for extraterrestrial presence that's contacted or engaged any member of the human race.
Absolutely. Well, they went further. They said there's no evidence that the government has hidden anything.
Yeah.
Now, nobody believes this. Nobody believes this. The statement was essentially written by Phil Larson, Dr. Larson, who's a staffer on the Office of Science and Technology Policy. He works under John Holdren, who is the White House science officer. But be assured, there is no way that statement, which was issued in response to PRG's disclosure petition,
right.
which was submitted on the 22nd of September. The response came on November the 4th. But that response was simply put out there on the web, on the website of the White House, which, by the way, it's still there. If you go to disclosurepetition.org, which is the home base for that project, you just find the first petition, click on that, and it'll actually give you links directly to the White House website. And that's 3 years now that's been sitting up there. There's no way that statement was issued without President Obama signing off on it.
Sure.
The President of the United States is not going to allow his science office to issue a definitive statement on the executive office's position on extraterrestrials and just go, well, whatever, just put something out. And so this was a milestone event, and to this day, I am not sure that wasn't an effort on the part of the White House to help the advocacy movement, meaning they couldn't acknowledge that there was truth to it or that they should do something, because that would have just literally exploded the issue.
Yeah.
They could have written 8 paragraphs of word salad where you had no idea what was in it and you couldn't really attack it, which, of course, they have people that are professionals at doing that. Mm-hmm. They could have done that, but what they did was put in an absolute denial, which really did nothing but inflame and inspire and energize the advocates and the people that are following this subject. And so I wonder if that was their way of helping, without, of course, jeopardizing the truth embargo, which they're not prepared to end. We'll see. One day maybe we'll know.
Maybe some of that disinformation that the sixth man on the moon, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, said, they're telling they're kind of telling the truth, but they're feeding it to you in disinformation. What do you think?
Look, it's there's the disinformation, misinformation campaign, which is designed to, and it's much easier to do now with the internet, as you know. All they have to do is control certain websites, and they can put it out all day long.
Which they're trying.
That is designed to contain the issue and maintain the truth embargo. But then there may very well be, in addition to that, an acclimatization program, which is basically a drip process, where they are kind of providing some information that is getting us, quote, ready, unquote, for the big announcement. And I think this is going on. I think certainly NASA is playing a part in that. And I think there are some other things that happen that are sort of in those areas. I get it, and I guess it's better than nothing. But really, it's a program that treats American people like we're idiots or children, and I think we've had enough of that, frankly. So it's time to get on with it and get the truth out.
Now, do you ever think, Stephen, that talking about the drip method, which I'm a firm believer in just about everything the government does, because Sean and I just got done talking earlier about two things. One, the fact that the government is full of the worst poker players you've ever met in your life. Not one of them can bluff.
Yeah, that's true.
And the fact that they, the American public in general, but the world in general, tends to overreact to every big announcement ever made. And, so I'm a firm believer that the drip method is used. Do you ever feel that you might actually be a tool of the government to promote the drip method and get the information out there?
Not a tool, but I have suspected that my hunch is that they're not happy with what I do. In other words, that they want people to be pushing this. They know that we have limited resources. We don't have big funding, and we're not going to be able to really bring a hammer down. Not everybody. I think I say this isn't true of everyone. I think that they like how I handle this. I think they appreciate the approach I take. I don't demonize the government. I hold out future prospects for working with them, I guess you could say, or at least being an asset in the post-disclosure world. I just take a reasonable approach to it, and I think that I have a feeling they're supportive. They're not going to tell me that. They're not going to send me any postcards with that a voice, but
smiley face.
I have a hunch, but it's not intentional. In other words, they may feel that way, but I'm not in any way being directed by them.
Sure.
How here's my first rule of telling whether or not the government is against what you're doing. How many times have you been audited since you started doing this?
Well, I got to tell you, I've never been audited.
Oh, see, they're for you. They're for you.
I know. Part of the reason for that is my income is so awful. It's like it would even if. It would, they could aggravate me, I suppose, with an audit, but it would be kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
It would be like, you're auditing this guy over this much?
Stephen, it's
so I've insulated myself by taking avowed poverty.
I always thought it's funny, though, and we've covered it for 9 years. You hear a lot about the Rockefellers, the Bilderbergers, the One World Order, the Illuminati, if you will. But you don't hear much, and we've hit on this many times because we've had researchers that have done extensive work out at Skinwalker Ranch and surveillance and stuff like that. You don't hear much about Mr. Robert Bigelow and these aerospace people. What do you say? What do you say?
Bigelow, you can find information about Bigelow.
Sure, but
he's not a Rockefeller. He's not a Rothschild. He's not a part of like a very old institutionalized money. He's new money.
Yeah.
He made his money initially in Vegas real estate and motels. Took that and developed the aerospace thing, which is kind of
space.
A personal love of his. So he's worth a good deal of money, but he's not Rockefeller money. And he's interested. He's funded some stuff. He created a group called NIDS, the National Institute of Discovery Sciences, which had an interesting board that had some insider-type people. So he sort of is set himself up as a bridge between the populist interest in this subject, citizen science, and the government, with probably leaning more to the government than to the populist side. I think overall he hasn't done any harm. I think that he's probably done some good. He could do a lot more.
Yeah.
And he could dramatically impact the advocacy movement with some nice funding.
Yeah.
But the fact is that if he were to go too far, I'm sure it would be a negative for his aerospace interests, which he really cannot pursue without
And that would be an audit. That would be an audit they'd be willing to go after.
Yeah. So he has certain parameters. He has certain boundaries he stays within, and I'm not. Doesn't bother me.
Well,
right. But I mean, those people have tried to paint some conspiracy stuff around him. But again, that's just part of the milieu. Everybody is suspect. Everybody's an agent.
Yeah.
I get accused of being an agent or a CIA guy on patrol once every month or two. But overall, I think Bigelow is an relatively honest guy in this, and would do more. I honestly think he'd do more, but he is limited because without the government cooperation, he could not pursue his private space interests.
Stephen, I respect you and I respect your work, and that's why I have to ask you this. And this is a very touchy subject with a lot of ufologists and a lot of alien UFO researchers, if you will. I got to bring up in 2010, the FAA issued, of course, the directive deferring all FAA and UFO reports to Bigelow Aerospace. Of course, MUFON, it's said, there's some fact here and there's some rumors, it's said that they have received a $750,000 a year grants to give Bigelow all the info pertaining to the UFO alien sightings and to hide it from the public. What do you think about MUFON, who's supposed to be doing this? It's supposed to be for the people. What do you think? Well,
that the description that you have given is incorrect.
Okay.
Well, the truth of the matter is that I think that Bigelow did try to cut a deal where NIDS would be the recipient of UFO reports. I think the idea being to create a sort of a quasi-governmental or an NGO entity. He felt he maybe could do a little bit more with those reports. That was quickly shot down. A lot of people in the field said, "No way, Jose." I do not know that if he was demanding exclusivity, meaning it only comes to us. I don't know that, and I kind of doubt it, but I think he was trying to cut a deal of some kind. And a lot of people raised objections immediately, and it didn't happen.
Right.
A couple of years went by, and then what Bigelow did was he arranged some funding for MUFON. He gave them some badly needed money, and MUFON has always struggled with finances, in return for to use MUFON to research sightings and provide the results of that research back to him. The amount of money was nowhere like you have mentioned, nothing like that. It was nice. I don't know the exact. I think we're talking a number of tens of thousands.
Okay.
Might have exceeded 100,000, but that program lasted for not a long time, and that was withdrawn. It was above board. It was known what was going on, but internal issues developed within MUFON, controversies and problems and so forth, and it just didn't work out. In other words, the marriage didn't work, and they got divorced. Mm-hmm. So again, that's really what happened. But naturally, in the genre of the ET world, in this truth vacuum that the government has created, there was plenty of opportunity for that to be hyperbolic. What's the word I'm looking for? to just be hyped up, and it happens all the time. It's part of the deal.
Yeah. Well, I've been skeptic. Who's not? You have a private citizen, Robert Bigelow, owns aerospace, countless billions of dollars. People are afraid he's trying to privatize space. Somebody once said he's trying to put a casino. First man to put his casino on Mars.
No, look, he's a player in the private space arena, but he's not the only one.
Yeah.
There are others, and that's nothing surprising about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's inevitable. What is surprising is that the government's backed out of space as much as it has, but that all has to do with the truth embargo, the ET issue. But the whole thing is very, very wild and crazy. Look, here's the problem that the government has, and this is one of the many reasons why the truth embargo, the ET issue, will end pretty soon.
Okay.
Is that if private entities are going to be going into space, if they're going to start getting a presence out there, they're going to encounter stuff which is going to be a threat to the truth embargo. And so that means the government's now got to contain them, too. They've got to say, okay, here's the deal. You got our agreement to do this, and you can do that, but understand if you see anything extraterrestrial, you got to keep your mouth shut, like NASA, right, like SETI and so forth. And they're going to be telling that to corporations, and that is going to be awkward and is going to put the truth embargo at risk. And so, if they're either going to have to suppress the private development of space,
yeah,
or they're going to have to get disclosure out of the way, in which case then there's no more problem anymore. They don't have anything to worry about. They can go into space and we'll see what happens. So the whole truth embargo doesn't work. I mean, it had a basis, a logical basis from 1947 to 1992, but that logical basis is evaporated, and so it needs to end, and that's just one of many reasons why.
Do you think the public is ready for the truth?
Hell, what are we ready for? I mean, were we ready for World War I, World War II, the Depression, Ebola, ISIS, the financial collapse of 2009? I mean, life happens, and this idea that until we're, quote, ready by government definition, we're not allowed to know this, we're not allowed to know that.
Yeah.
That's not the way we want the government to run, and I can assure you the government enjoys running that way. It benefits the government that way. It doesn't benefit us. And so this idea that we'll be told what the reality of something is, we'll be provided certain technologies when we're ready for it, is not the way I want the U.S. government to operate, and I think increasingly there's less and less Americans that want that. So I don't care whether we're ready. I happen to think we're ready, but I don't care, ready or not. The truth is what it is, and the sooner we know it, the better.
Here it comes. Now, Stephen, you made headlines, brother. So many times I can't count or mention, but you were on George's radio show, I forget, maybe last year, and you made headlines over talking about mysterious deaths with UFO researchers. I mean, from crop circle researchers who worked on the movie Science, Mr. Paul Vigay, who was found floating face down off the coast of Portsmouth, to the rapid decline of health and so many of the ufologists and UFO researchers. I mean, what's going on? And if the government is doing this, who's telling them to do this? The president? The One World Order? Are they behind these mysterious deaths?
Well, first, let's frame this properly. Mm-hmm. There are a huge number of people now in this field and thanks to the internet, even more that are known, that are you kind of get their name or you can be aware of what they're doing. The internet makes it possible for that much more than ever. And so people are going to die.
Sure.
People are going to drown. People are going to get hit by cars. So that's going to happen. I went on George Norrie, rather, because of a cluster occurred. Now, what do we mean by a cluster? Yeah. A cluster is when you have something happen in a grouping that stands out above the background noise and seems to be statistically not likely. And a cluster developed involving a number of researchers, and I was concerned based on what I knew. I didn't like it.
Right.
And now, they could have all been. Now I'm talking about the death. This is the death of James Allen, the death of Lord Pye, Philip Coppens. I think there's one other, and it smelled. Now, what do you do? I made a decision, and I talked this over with my colleagues first, that it had reached the point where it needed to be discussed. And so I went on Norrie, and I simply brought it up. We're noticing this, don't like it, and a little worried about it, and that's all you can do. Yeah. That way we send a message out, in a sense. We put it out there that we're paying attention, and we're not happy about this, if it in fact is involving any kind of government activity. That's all you can do, and hope that public awareness demonstration will prevent anything further. But that doesn't mean that I knew for sure. I didn't.
Right.
But your option, here's the deal, and this is true in the United. This is true in any country you want to pick. If the government of the country that you're living in wants to kill you, they're going to kill you.
Oh yeah, you're gone.
And that's just the way it is. And so, what are your options? Well, you only have one fundamental option: that's publicity and awareness. But you have to be careful how you use that. If you overplay that card, then the card will have no value. And so, I went on and discussed that. Since then, that cluster did not expand, and I haven't had cause to think that it's a major problem or that there is, in fact, something really there. But it was enough of a concern at the time that it needed to be discussed.
Sure. Now you've gone on Nori. Wonderful, the Truth Embargo, the movie.
That is a documentary that is pretty much in suspension right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd like to see it happen one day. We'll see.
I've seen the clips, and I'm just watching it and enthralled by what you've put together so far. Citizenhearing.org, all these wonderful things. Are you reaching the people in the numbers that you had hoped you would reach?
You never reach everyone you would like to reach, believe me. I think that there's been a lot of articles about the citizen hearing, and you can find them on the citizenhearing.org. The Congressional Hearing Initiative has been underway since November the 5th. Every member of Congress has received a 30-hour DVD record of the entire citizen hearing, and along with a letter signed by the witnesses. We generated over 1 million tweets and emails and Facebook posts, #disclosure, directed at the Congress. So we're continuing to expand the disclosure advocacy movement. We're starting to make headway in the political media. And the Congressional Hearing Initiative is underway right now. And more articles are coming out soon. And my goal is nothing less than meeting with staffers and ultimately members of certain committees and getting a single committee to agree to bring a significant number of the witnesses, like the ones, many of which would be the same ones, that was at the Citizen Hearing on Disclosure at the National Press Club in April of 2013, bring them to the Hill to testify in a real hearing under oath. If a committee does that, I have a very strong sense that the truth embargo will not survive it. So there's a lot riding on this, and we're still looking for support and funding. But the Congressional Hearing Initiative, which you can learn more about if you just go to ParadigmResearchGroup.org, the link is right there, right in the top of the page, ParadigmResearchGroup.org. You can see everything that's going on as we move forward with this effort to get the first hearings on this issue since 1968.
Now, Stephen, we're running out of studio time. I want to get you on for a second interview because I have another 20 topics to go over, and you're the only one that can answer them. You and Mr. Pope and Dr. Stephen Grill. Love you to death, brother. I just want to ask one more thing. Mm-hmm. If you think something, and I'm just like you, I'm skeptic, Nathan's skeptic, but if you believe that the government possibly is behind these mysterious deaths, and there are a few that if you don't raise an eyebrow, you were just totally disconnected with reality. Like you had mentioned before, it's just, some of them are really spooky. If you think the government is behind these, do you ever get fearful for yourself? Because you're one of the front runners right now, my friend.
Well, again, first of all, the number one protection for political activism in large issues is publicity. The more, the better.
Right.
It's not a guarantee. In fact, recently, I think there was a really striking situation that occurred. Now, this is Argentina, where a very well-known prosecutor who had spent years developing a case against the sitting president of Argentina, Kirchner, the day before he was supposed to bring the testimony before the Congress, he ends up getting shot in the head in his hotel room. This is the publicity didn't work.
Was that ruled suicide?
This is not Argentina, however.
Right.
So again, I'm very high profile. Secondly, I have no wife, no children, nobody dependent upon me.
Right.
And thirdly, I've been around for a while. I'm not a young guy, so I'm just not worried about it.
Yeah.
I just don't worry about it. But more importantly, let me say this. I've tried to take a balanced approach to this. I have tried to treat the government's history in this accurately and not blow it out of proportions or make threats. I tried to see the government side. And so I haven't gone out of my way to make enemies. And I think that is the way to go. It's kind of part of the nonviolent idea of nonviolent activism. But when you demonize the opposition, all you do is increase the resistance. So all I can say is I have never been bothered. I've never been harassed. Now I think my phone is tapped. I mean, I don't think anybody'd be surprised at that, and they don't care.
Yeah.
I don't hide anything. But that's not really harassment. That's surveillance.
Well,
I've never had any problems at all.
I forget where you were, but you asked the government to tap your phone. You were.
I think I probably said, yeah. Well, I mean, if they weren't, I'd be kind of disappointed. I'd be like, hell, all this work, and you don't give a crap.
Right.
What the hell, tap my phone, please.
Hey, Stephen, before we close out the show, what's next, my friend? Where are we going from here?
We've got, John Podesta really tossed a lit match into the dynamite shed when he put that tweet out a few days ago, and where he stated that he seriously stated that one of his chief regrets, in fact, his chief regret was not getting the UFO files out in 2014 while he was an advisor to the president, which is amazing. Of course, that's made huge news. There's hundreds of articles been written about it. So the Congressional Hearing Initiative is underway. What's next, hopefully, is more articles, some shots at some major talk shows. The congressional hearing thing gets really hot in town. We start having meetings, and hopefully we get commitment to have hearings. And if we do, that's pretty much the ball game. The truth embargo will end shortly after that. Now, if that takes longer, it doesn't happen, we've got a very important disclosure tour coming up in Canada called Modern Knowledge. This organization up there is putting on a 4-city tour. It starts April the 4th. You can just Google Modern Knowledge. It comes right up. We're going to start on the 4th in Montreal, Toronto on the 11th, Calgary on the 18th, and Vancouver on the 19th. And it's the Canada Disclosure Tour. It's myself, it's Richard Dolan, it's Paul Hellyer, the former defense minister. Grant Cameron is going to be at 2 of them. Stan Friedman's going to be at 1. Victor Vigiani, the activist and media guy. And pretty much the focus is on disclosure. We think we can generate a lot of action out of that, a lot of press attention. I'll be speaking at the Contact in the Desert Conference, which is on May 29 to 31. They're expecting over 2,000 people at that. It's going to be something like 50-some speakers, might even be more. So there's plenty happening. The conferences are coming on. This issue is not going away. The ETs are not going away, apparently, and the government's got to understand that it's running out of time. And so my hope is still disclosure this year, hopefully the first half of the year. And if not, then we're still going to make a lot of progress, and it's going to get a lot tougher on the government to play this game any longer.
Well, Stephen, I'll tell you this much, my friend. You're doing amazing work out there, and we're here at this show to support you. And anything you need, you just email us and let us know.
Absolutely. And if you want me to come on, just give me an email.
Thanks,
we'll set it up.
Friend. Hey, everybody, Stephen Bassett. Demon Hunter, Stephen, can you stay on the line 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
While we close out the show. Demon Hunter, what do you say we pay the bills?
I hate to do it because I had so much more, but okay.
I do too. I got so many bits. Steven's coming back on. He already promised us. He'd never break a promise. Anyway, guys, special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, 102.7 FM The Hog, Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, and Action Audio Apps. Hey, are you listening? Check them out. They want to know. Action Audio Apps. GarageBand.com, Creative Commons Free Music Archives, and Midnight Syndicate. Thanks for the tunes. From the haunted back roads of America, this has been another exclusive G&D Show interview. Don't go changing America, you know we won't. Demon Hunter.
Because we love you.
Good night, guys.